this then, when the soul is leaving the body, is what we describe as being al-maut, or being death, and the soul enters into alim al-arwah, into the world of the souls, which is what we would call a more metaphysical world. It is a different plane of existence than the existence that we are living in this world. And actually, it is the soul that is what we really are. Because the body, being made up of materials and being that encasement that the soul is living in the hayat dunya, is only a temporary place. The soul came before it and then was put into the body, and then when death comes, the body goes back into the earth and the soul continues on. So the actual human being is not what you see, the physical flesh. And this is very important for us, especially when racism is so powerful today, when people tend to judge each other by their height or their hair texture or their skin color, by superficial parts of their body, when that's not the real human being. The real human being is that spirit.
Bam. Reaching the words of Assalamu alaikum, which means peace and blessings be upon you. And I mention both Jesus and Muhammad's names. Peace be upon them both, for they were messengers of truth and reality. You're looking at the Underground Railroad TV show with my co-host, Brother Harold Davis of Wgbx 1570 AM. And first I want to say something about Ramadan. Ramadan Mubarak to people, brothers out there that are striving in the name of Islam. That in Ramadan you're not eating in the morning time, you're not eating any food, no candy, no drinks, you're sacrificing for the name of Allah, even against your own hunger. And hi to the brothers at Masjid Al Farouk, where I go at 8950 South Stony Island. Masjid Tawheed and Masjid Fatir on 47th and Prairie. And Islam is not a religion of fighting constant wars. The first war is the jihad within our own self, battling against our own weaknesses and shortcomings. But Ramadan is a good time to not work out physically, but to work out spiritually. We pray Tawheed prayer where we pray all night, just to work out physically, to strengthen your spirituality. So we're praying from 9:30 at night to 11 o'clock at night. But it's time to get down to business now. Okay. Right. I'm going to let the guests introduce themselves and our co-hosts.
Harold Davis. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Allahu Akbar.
Hi, I'm Kamala Ronan. I'm on the panel with the Harold Davis Show, Booty Butt Naked Truth.
The real queen of talk radio is not on WVON, on WGBX 1570 AM. All right, go ahead.
Right. Yes, I'm Reverend Willie McGee, and I'm very much involved in my community active, community liaison, and I'm also down there at the studios with Harold and Kamala, Boise Red, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Said the big name, boys. Back. Go ahead.
Hey, my name is South Shore. My name is South Shore Sydney. I've been following, chasing Harold for the last 3 years now, and was there with them day one when they started the radio station.
And you know what? There's a problem in the African American community, and I want to ask you, Brother Harold. We're gonna go around, and if I cut y'all off, it's not out of disrespect. And I don't want the people out there even think that, because it's time constraints. It's only a half an hour show. Is Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr., has he been effective, working effectively in the community, or has he been a detriment to the community?
I mean, well, the last 4 years, since 2008, he's been fighting a case. I mean, so, he was in that Blagojevich debacle. And so if you went the last 4 years, he's been ineffective because he's fighting for his political career. He's involved in the pay for the seat. Can't have a seller without a buyer. And then now he's up under investigation from the Congressional Ethics Committee for this Giovanna Hildebro, the girlfriend that has been identified by the Indian boy Nayak, said he was flying her in and out of town. And so, and prior to that, the 13 years prior to that, he's been ineffective just talking about an airport that's never going to be built. Yes. And so I don't see any remnants of anything that he's done in the community in Chicago. I think he's helped Homewood, Flossmoor, Calumet City, and South Holland. He's helped those 3 mayors. The only recipient of anything I've seen him give is Salim Al-Nuruddin, who runs the Southside Consortium. But other than that, you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody that Jesse Jr. has helped in the black community.
Yes. Let me say this right quick. Listen to WGBX 1570 AM Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 2 to 4 o'clock. I think Thursdays, Harold, it's...
No, 2 to 4. It's
Okay.
2 to 4 across the board.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I don't have any personal information about Jesse Jackson and Jesse Jackson Jr. But the information I have is most recently when he ran against Haverson, and then it was interesting because Haverson was out in the spotlight in the beginning of the election, and then all of a sudden you really didn't see her out. First you heard about her, doing the bus stop and things like that with different people, and then the next thing you knew, it seemed like Jesse was in the race by himself. Also, as far as Jesse Jr. is concerned, the latest account is that he has gastro problems and he's at the Mayo Clinic, and so that's really my knowledge. I don't have a lot of personal knowledge about him.
Okay. Reverend, both of you, has he been a asset, a liability to the community? And has he been the invisible man?
Well, he's been the invisible man as far as I'm concerned. He's been a no-show, and if I had to grade him, I would have to give him a D- under the present conditions. This is an individual that has left our area. I'm talking about the 2nd Congressional District, South Side. I represent the Golden Gate, Eden Green, Allgale, Philip Murray area. And this is a miscarriage of justice for the fact that we never had representation like we should. And as you know, it's a desert area. We need quite a bit out there in that area. We need a lot done. We have no activities for the youth. We have no programs for the youth. We have no resources for the youth. We haven't anything. We just existing. You seem like we're in that desert, just truly existing.
State of Jalalia ignorance.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, I live in the South Shore area, and he's just like his wife. No show, can't find him unless I'm in Washington D.C. or at Midway Airport when they flying or going in or coming out the city. But Jackson Jr., no, he should go. His wife should have been gone.
Well, Harold, you could ask the question to the panel, then I'm going to
Well, I mean,
go down the line.
at the end of the day, I think he's going to resign. I don't think he's going to withstand the pressure of being able to come out of this situation that is emotional. He said he had this mood disorder. Well, the whole 2nd Congressional District has a mood disorder. Foreclosures up the roof, unemployment through the roof, young people, no opportunities, no jobs, no contracts available, food deserts everywhere. So his mood disorder is not anything that means anything to me. His constituents have mood disorders every single day. And with him being a child of privilege, when Mel Reynolds had his shortcomings and when Jesse Sr. was working behind the scenes praying for him, not Praying, not P-R-A-Y-N-G, but P-R-E-Y-N-G, they were praying on him behind the scenes. Well, that particular summer, Jesse Jr. spoke at 100 high school graduations, kindergarten, 8th grade, and high school. And that's how they were able to push him in. That deal was cut with ministers. And so you got somebody that never had to work for anything. He has no idea what it is to have your lights out or to miss a meal. He has no idea what it means to actually work. Yes. Because prior to him being a congressman, he's been in school all his life. And so I say it's time for him to leave, and he should leave.
I want to ask just of the panel, and you know what? I'm going to get to the telephone calls after this because they're the ones that make the Underground Railroad. It's not me. It's not us. I'm all due respect. I want to ask you something. The Taliban, once they in Afghanistan, once they found out they was shipping opium out of Afghanistan, they stopped the flow of it. Minister Farrakhan, once he has knowledge that drugs are being sold in the community, but the police have knowledge of this. How come they aren't doing the same thing the Taliban is doing and Minister Farrakhan is doing and stopping the drugs and the guns in the community? I'll start with heroin, and then we just go down the line, then I'm going to take calls.
Well, you can point to, you can get a 3-year-old kid out of any neighborhood, any block, and ask him what a dope house is. Ask them, they can tell you. They'll tell you where they selling the stuff at. And so I don't know how the police misses it. It's prevalent. there's a brother on the west side in K-Town that was taping this stuff all day, every day, broad daylight. And you know, there was an article that ran in the paper last week about the heroin highway, the Eisenhower, where these white kids are coming in from Naperville, getting off at Harlem, Austin, Central, and Cicero, buying drugs. I mean, so everybody. I mean, if we know this there, then you know everybody else knows.
Yeah, I guess I'll go up the line and get your consensus, okay?
Well, you know, I have a lot of viewpoints regarding what may be happening with what's going on with the drugs. For example, with the heroin highway that's going from Naperville to the west side of Chicago, there was a doctor, and actually she's going to be on our show next week to discuss this thing with the brain development. She talked about where the cerebral cortex or whatever is the frontal cortex of the brain is underdeveloped in children, and they don't have full development until they're the age of 26 or 22 years old. And so the interesting thing is that's what she said about the children in Naperville. And so they were able to get a $1 million grant to help the children in Naperville. However, our children in our community haven't been receiving grant money, and we don't have the grant money to help them with some of their problems. And they never say that our children, the development is not right. They just say they're criminals.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, so that's one viewpoint. And as far as the cameras are concerned, I've heard different accounts about the cameras on the streets, that some of them don't work. And so how do they actually track what the crime is?
But you know what the question, really want to know is, how come the Taliban can stop opium from coming up out of Afghanistan? And Minister Farrakhan, with the Fruit of Islam, can stop the crime, and they're not getting financed, but the very police that are being financed to stop this, how come they can't do anything about it? I don't want to do nothing about it. We coming down the line, and then we're going to come to the call.
Well, are we looking at this for what it's worth? I mean, are we dealing with issues that orders are coming from where? City Hall? Along that line? What are we dealing with here? I mean, let's face the facts. We know, just like Harold mentioned, that a 3-year-old could show you any drug house. They can show you where to get the guns at.
I like that.
They can show you where they could purchase or buy any type of weaponry that you need. And we don't have to mention the name. It's obvious. Everyone know this to be a fact. So if we ask them, we'll give them $10 a piece to come forward to put these people on notice.
Yes, sir.
You'd have a list that's innumerable. It's the same way it is when they say, okay, we're going to give you so much for collecting the guns. Yes. They know where everything is. We don't have to go over the air over and over again and mention this. The thing is, what are we going to do about it?
Yes, sir. Let me tell somebody, I'm not with the Taliban. I'm illustrating that they stopped the flow of opium coming up out of Afghanistan, but when the United Snakes of America put the Northern Alliance back in power, now you can get all the opium you want. But go ahead.
Well, I'll wait till after Brother Sidney talks, and I want to add a comment.
Let's be real about it. Like you said, they know where it's coming from. They know the distributor. They know the locations. They knocked out, I think it was like about a month ago, they did this big raid from 47 all the way up to 55th Street. Nobody can't find nothing. But if you in your neighborhood and you see these strange people walking around that don't belong in your neighborhood, them the ones there to purchase the drugs. Right? And also, people in the neighborhood, they know them spots. All right. But people don't want to get involved because they got to live there.
I'm going to let the queen of talk radio get her point, and then I'm going to go ahead and get to the callers. Okay.
Thank you. This is probably the situation in a lot of areas, but most recently there was a store, a mom and pop grocery store that was in Lake County, Illinois, and these owners of these stores were selling narcotics, and they were selling the different drugs that they mix together. What are they called? Bath salts. They were selling these things.
Harold was talking about that on the radio show.
So someone just got busted a couple of days ago. So they were actually running and operating a store. So sometimes when we see the kids hanging outside of the stores, perhaps they're going in to buy these kind of things. I mean, this was just busted. It was $100,000 worth of narcotics, marijuana, and bath salts. And as we know, when the children eat the bath salts, they turn into, unfortunately, sometimes they turn into zombies, and then they're eating people. There's a lot of different stories about people going crazy and eating people because they took bath salts.
I did not notice. I started listening to WGBX
all around
1570 AM. But I always say it wrong though.
Like the truth.
Okay, but you know what? I would be remiss. I would be wrong for people that don't know where mist is. it would be remiss not to get to the telephone callers because they're the ones who make the Underground Railroad. You know, so go ahead, caller. Go ahead and beat the drums.
Yeah, man. Been listening to y'all.
Go ahead, caller.
Jesse Jr. for weeks.
Do some sounding like Dr. Malik. Go ahead and beat the drums. Speak on it. You say speak on
If
it.
Brother Harold had asked Jesse out on a date or something because he keeps hating on him, what you jealous for, dude?
Connection.
What's going on back there?
Can you hear the
Well,
drum?
it looks like Homeland Security might be zeroing in on us. So. Go ahead, caller.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Brother, first, I'm on this subject that you were on about stopping crime, okay? Now, let me give you a quick analogy.
I gotta have a question because there are time
Tell this
constraints.
story.
No stories, sir. No stories. A question, sir.
Priest had seen this man along the way that had been wounded and was laying by the side of the road.
How much
So
time?
the priest went to inspect and found out that this was Satan
Get some
himself.
You know what? Excuse me, sir.
Satan
You know what?
himself.
If you got a story, you're gonna have to leave that. Hey, you know what, Jose? Let's go to the next caller, please. We got a question. Go ahead. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead. We're listening. Turn the volume of your television down.
Hello?
Turn the volume of your television down.
Hello?
Jose, let's go to the next caller. You got no time for that. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, next caller. Go ahead and beat the drums.
Yeah, man, I got a quick question. I want to know, did Brother Harold Davis ask Jesse Jr. out on a date? Because I'm trying to...
I don't know if you want to dignify that with an answer. So.
Did I ask Jesse Jr. out on a date?
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure Jesse got his own problems at home, but he should ask himself that because little Tommy Bennett lived with him for 2 years.
Do that lie. You know, and you welcome to be a guest on Underground Railroad. I would love for you to come on so you can show your ignorance. I would love it. But next caller, go ahead and beat the drums. Go ahead, next caller.
Yeah.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Well, some things that we can do. I'm in the secure area, and I want to know what we can do about the crime and everything that's going on. Saying there's young black people that's working and everything. You know what I mean? We got to deal with all this nonsense out here. But at the same time, like you said, a lot of people don't want to get involved. How can we get involved without, causing harm to ourselves?
Okay, we got it. So I don't know if one of y'all want to address that. I know Harold has an organization. You got an organization. Whoever wants to address that.
Well, I mean, basically, to get involved, you have to have resources to help correct anything. When unemployment is up, crime is up. I mean, it's obvious that people will steal if they're hungry. I mean, so if we're going to get involved, then the proper resources must be delivered into the community. If we just spinning our wheels, if people say, okay, we just arrested 40 dope dealers, now go back and reclaim what? I mean, what is it that you're reclaiming? You don't control nothing. You have no businesses in your community. You don't have access to capital. You don't have equal protection under the law, and you don't have a right to a good education. And so until that playing ground is leveled, I mean, we're going to sit here all day trying to figure out in a room what we're going to do, and we have absolutely no power to change anything. Until we get the proper resources in, we can't change anything.
Okay. Next caller, go ahead and beat the drums. Next, man, Homeland Security must be looking at this.
Oh, yes, hello?
Go ahead.
Yes, I got 2 questions. My first question is, Brother Harold, y'all know anything about what's happening with the fire department? And my second question is, what's happening with that grant money? They going after them churches about that grant money, or they going to eliminate all that grant money, period?
With the fire department, I think Ezra McCann can answer that. But with the Ricky Hendon piece, well, I'm sure it's about 25 or 30 churches that have been already subpoenaed and about to know that they were part of that 25. Give me 25,000. I'll kick back 5. And so I'm sure Ricky Hennon has told on a bunch of people, and so I don't know.
Is he going to tell affairs to bring it on like Jesse Jackson Jr.?
Well, I would imagine about 25 churches are involved in that grant process.
Go ahead.
I'm skipping back to the last subject about what can the young men do to motivate each other. In addition to the murders that are going on in Chicago, there's a very strong depression and suicide rate. They had an article that said over 180 people this year alone committed suicide. And one of them in particular was an African American man who was a chess champion. He was in the Northwestern program, and he was had won several competitions with chess. And also there have been a couple other people that I've known personally that have committed suicide. And so it's something that African American men are not talking about. We're not talking about it, but it is a very serious issue.
They doom themselves to bad tomorrow. We got another caller.
Okay.
We're going to get
all right.
Go, caller. Go ahead and beat the drums. Go ahead.
Yes. I wanted to ask a question about Jesse Jackson Jr., actually the whole Jackson family. I'm wondering how are we still allowing them to skate. I live right down the street from Jesse Jackson Jr. and Alderman Jackson, and I never see them in the neighborhood. I hear telephone calls from her all the time, but I believe she lives in Washington or whatever. How is she allowed to just go back and forth? And all the crime is going on right down the street from her house. I'm depressed. I paid all this money to live over here. I'm depressed. I wonder what can I do.
He look like he lives in that district.
In that
like
area.
You might
Yes,
want to
he does.
address
Yes, he does. Well, let me say this to you, caller. I live in that area too, and I've been over that area for the last 6 years. She's never around. Yeah, she know where crime going. And just think back last winter. Her block was the only block that got plowed when we had that heavy snow in South Shore. She did have talking about having some type of job fest. They was passing out chickens or coupons for chickens.
Go ahead.
They both live in the same house, but he's in Washington D.C. She takes the kids back and forth to go check on them in D.C.
You know what? I want to say this. I talked to her personally. Now, you know about the area about the prostitution that goes on from
Oh, and it's changed.
All due respect to the lady here, to the queen here. But the prostitution that goes on the 75th Exchange, the 75th and Exchange been going on for 19 years.
Or more.
And we talked to her about this. She said before the election, they won't be doing that anymore. Hey, it's still going on.
Well, I mean, anybody that lives in D.C. and have never taken the children out of school in D.C., she flies in here on a Wednesday for a council meeting, and she flies back out at 5 o'clock the next day. His arrogance is that he absolutely thinks that he does not have to represent the people.
Sad.
I mean, this guy is probably the most arrogant politician I've ever seen. And so for black people to be in her ward and his constituents, and then, like Brother Sidney said, to give people some chickens to sign a petition.
Sad.
I mean, that's
sad.
That's their mentality, is that they actually laugh at black people. And if black people were willing to accept that kind of behavior from politicians, then that's on us, because it would never take place in the white community.
Well, I got a question for you, Brother Harold. I just noticed this past Friday, somewhere between 2 and 4 in the afternoon, Alderman Beaver's daughter car was parked in front of Sandy Jackson's office. So what's up with that?
The guy knows.
Something you'd have to ask.
Just wanted to touch briefly on prostitution. Unfortunately, there's a large group of women, not just young women, but there are a group of elderly women who are being abused by men who are challenged.
Yes.
And these diseases are passing around. They're saying these people are going to nursing homes. So that is a big issue. So I didn't feel offended by you saying it. It's good that you mentioned it.
Yes, man. I'm just trying to be respectful. Excuse me.
Let me just
3 more. We have 3 more minutes left. I'm going to give the guest the opportunity to. It may have been something that you wanted to say, but you didn't get the opportunity to say. Go ahead.
All right.
Well, let me say this real briefly, that, in our area, we know that we're responsible for electing these nickel and dime politicians, the ones that are. And beyond that, it's our responsibility to take control of our own community. It's our destiny. Okay. We're the ones that have to take charge, the ones that's thinking positive and thinking rationally. So what can we do? we can get a consensus from the community. We could have our forums. We could set them up, and we could have job banks come out. Individuals that come out could hire some of these individuals that they know that have records.
Okay, we got to make it brief because we only got 2 minutes.
Okay,
left.
well, I can just say from my point of view, living in the South Shore area, living in a neighborhood that has a block club, an active block club, we do not have much of the crime or drug sales on our block. Okay. By being that block club, we meet every third Thursday of the month. We have our neighbors bring their concerns and we address them.
Yes, sir. Okay. The queen right here.
All right.
Of Talk Radio.
Thank you. Join us Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on the Booty Butt Naked Truth Show. Harold and the panel, including myself. And thank you, Cliff, for having us on the show.
Thank you.
Well,
Here's the leader right here.
Yeah.
WGBX,
All right, Harold.
1570 AM.
all I can say is until black men get involved in this situation, we're gonna keep getting what we get. I mean, it would never take place where Polish, Italian, Jewish, Irish people would allow you to have control over the education of their children. And so until we take an active role in this education process, we're going to keep getting what we get. And until we take over the businesses in the community, we're going to keep getting what we get, because our children look at us and see us in a helpless state.
Yes.
And so then they look and say, well, what can you really do? I mean, you're helpless. You're little boys in the eyesight of people down in City Hall.
What was the saying that the person said? Pull your...
Oh, he said, I told the boy to pull his pants up. He said, well, I will when you put yours on.
You're talking to other men, yeah.
And you know what I want to say? You know what? Brother Red Ross could not make it on, but you know he's always welcome. He probably had a scheduling conflict. And Brother Boise, my mentor, and Dr. Malik, they're always welcome. You know, and you were looking at the Underground Railroad. This will be in cyberspace. You see me. You can see me and Brother Harold in cyberspace 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You should see that interview he did with Dr. Warren. It was just off the chain. People in the street, y'all know what I'm talking about. Hey, man, that was off the chain with you and Dr. Lee Warren.
Thank you. Thank you.
I got to get you and Dr. Lee Warren back together. I don't know how I'm going to do it, though.
Yeah, well, we had a good time.
Yes. So, thank you. Thank you for accepting the invitation to come to the Underground Railroad. There's going to be a part 2. So, thank
So
you.
the strongest position is that the nafs and the soul are actually one. And the ijma' of the ulama, the consensus of the ulama also has informed us that the soul is makhluqa, it is created. It is created by Allah and then it is breathed into the womb of the mother. And the nafs has 3 major names. The first is an-nafs al-ammara bis-su. And you find this in Surah Yusuf, verse 53, Inna an-nafsa la'ammaratun bis-su'i illa ma rahima rabbi. That surely the soul commands evil, except that which Allah has mercy on, my Lord has mercy upon. And so this is called an-nafs al-ammara bis-su. That's your evil side. It calls you to evil things. Then there is an-nafs al-lawwama. And that you find in Surah Al-Qiyamah, verse 2. وَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِالنَّفْسِ اللَّوَّامَةِ. And do not make oaths with this soul that gives you advice. So nafs al-lawwama helps you to do good. It advises you to do good inside of your life. The third name is an-nafs al-mutma'innah. And this comes in Surah Al-Fajr, as many of you have memorized in verse 27. Ya ayyatuhan